Can I start by asking you about Liam Delap and whether you've spoken to him since Wednesday night, explained to him, how you saw it from your point of view and what he had to say?
No, but I don't need to speak with Liam. Anyway, I spoke with Liam, but Liam he knows everything. He's aware of the situation. He knows that he made a mistake, and full stop. No more than that.
Do you think the players appreciate you being as open and honest as you were on Wednesday night?
This is a question for them. The problem is that when I say that there is no concern about red card, no concern. If I say that we need to avoid red card, we need to avoid red card. I say what I think is correct to say. Sometimes we had red card that was difficult to avoid, and sometimes we had some red card that we could avoid.
Do you think, generally speaking, there is a problem with discipline?
I think that some of the red card that we concede, we can avoid that.
And likewise, some of the yellow cards you were saying on Wednesday night as well were avoidable as well?
I don't know.
What can you do to change that, do you think, to change some of the rash tackles, some of the challenges, the avoidable cards?
It's also something that we need to learn. Something that we have to do better, and for sure, no doubt that in the future we're gonna be better also on that.
Okay, we'll go to John, BBC.
Just on that, have you sat the squad down, since Wednesday and said, this is getting a bit ridiculous now? Was it 6 red cards from 9 games, including your own? Have you sat them all down and said it's really something that's got to stop?
Again, some of the red card we could avoid. Some of the red card is we cannot avoid.
I mean, just slightly away from that, on Liam Delap, I mean, you said in the press conference on Wednesday, he's a player inside the pitch playing for himself, struggles to listen to things around him. So is it fair to say that he is quite a long way from being the player that you want him to be?
Probably. I'm not from England, so sometimes when I try to translate from Italian to English, sometimes it's a bit different. Liam, when he's inside the pitch, it's more focused to do his battle against the central defender than the rest. This was what I was telling, I was trying to say after that game.
And is that how you want him to play?
There are 2 players in this team, 3 players in this team that I know them better than the rest. Romeo Lavia, Cole Palmer and Liam Delap, because I know them from season 21, 4 years ago. So I know Liam how is, and I know that Liam will be a fantastic player for us, but there are some things, like the rest, that he needs to improve.
Just looking at Tottenham, I'm sure you're aware, I'm sure you've looked at the videos, their home form, it's 1 home league win in 7, I think it's 3 in 18. So there is, without a doubt, a vulnerability there, isn't there, at home?
But Tottenham, I think they are doing very good. They finished last season winning the Europa League. They start very good this season, and also because it's a derby, for sure will be a difficult game.
But have you looked at why they are so poor at home in the league?
I don't know. This is a question for them, to be honest.
Thank you.
We'll go to Soraya, PLP.
Morning. Your left wingers I want to talk about. Garnacho scored his first goal against Sunderland. Then you got Gitten's amazing goal against Wolves and assisting in the game. You've mentioned previously that you actually tend to pick your attackers on how well they defend and their defensive attributes. What do you sort of think separates Gittens and Garnacho, and what do they contribute differently to the squad?
They are both adapting to our the way we work every day. They are both doing well. This is what we want from our wingers, score goals and assist. And it's good to have both doing well, so we can choose one or the other one.
A few weeks ago, I spoke to you about set pieces. You're scoring them so well, second highest in the league. We'll speak about the conceding part. You concede the most shots from set pieces as well. What issue do you think it is? Do you think it's physicality on the pitch and the players that you have? Because aerially winning your duels has not been there, or covering the critical zones, or do you think it's a mentality thing of the aggressiveness?
I think that set pieces, you are going to score goals and you are going to concede goal. The reason why, because if we say that when we concede we are not strong enough, so why we score? I think set pieces, there are teams that they score more goals, less goals, but at the end set pieces you are going to score and concede goal because there are action that it's so difficult to defend.
Lastly, just want to talk about one of the tactical tweaks that you do in games. Sometimes you move Labiot or Caicedo to join the centre backs. What's the rationale behind that, and what role do you want them to play when they move into the back line?
Yeah, it depends a little bit how the other team press, where we can find space, where we can find solution. Sometimes it's also to move a midfielder from that area because it's traffic, many players there, so we want to move some players out from that area. And depends a little bit on the, as I said, on the other team how they press.
Okay, thank you.
We'll go to Simon, Athletic.
So,
Hey, Enzo. We've talked to you about when you do long throw-ins. Have you been working on defending long throw-ins? Because that was another one in midweek that you conceded from. Is that something you've been working on this week in particular? Because of Tottenham, they like to use long throw-ins a lot.
yeah, and then we have Wolves at home that they do that,
Yeah, yeah.
and then we have for sure we are working. Yeah, for sure.
And just quickly on Liam, just one question on Liam. Did he apologise when you spoke to him?
Straight after the game in the changing room. Yeah.
And did he apologise to the teammates as well? Or was it like
Yeah, straight in the changing room after the game. He apologized to everyone.
And Cole Palmer, is he still on course to be back? at the end of the time?
I just met him in the canteen for the breakfast, and I told him I will say that in 1 week you are back. He was laughing. No, with the cold there is exactly the same plan. Wait, and hopefully he can be back soon.
Okay, and we'll finish this section with Rob O'Connor.
And are you open to changing the way you personally approach squad discipline? You're still a young manager, and it's obviously room to evolve in terms of tactics and other areas. If the approach to discipline isn't working, can you see yourself becoming a more forceful personality with discipline?
I think, as I said many times, I like to learn, I like to evolve. In this moment, I think we are trying to do everything to avoid this kind of situation, and hopefully we can learn and we can be better in the future.
All right, Blues fans, we've got some interesting developments coming out of Cobham this morning. 2 days after absolutely slaughtering Liam Delap in his post-match press conference, Enzo Maresca is now doing a bit of damage control. And honestly, the whole situation reveals quite a bit about what's going on behind the scenes at Chelsea right now. So let's break down what's happened over the last 48 hours, because this is a proper roller coaster. Wednesday night at Molineux, Delap gets sent off for 2 stupid yellow cards in 7 minutes. Maresca comes out fuming, calls it embarrassing and stupid, and then drops this absolute bombshell. Liam is a player that when he's inside the pitch, probably he's playing the game for himself, and he struggles to realise and to listen around him. Brutal, right? That's your own manager essentially calling you selfish and saying you don't listen. Now, before we get into Maresca's backtracking at today's press conference, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. We're bringing you all the latest Chelsea news, exclusive analysis, and the honest opinions that you won't get anywhere else. Hit that subscribe button and join our community of proper Blues fans who want the real story, not the sugar-coated nonsense. Right, so fast forward to this morning's press conference ahead of tomorrow's massive London derby against Tottenham at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Maresca's been asked about Delap, and suddenly the tone is completely different. When asked if he'd spoken to the striker since Wednesday night, Maresca said, "I don't need to speak with Liam. I spoke with him, but he knows everything. He is aware of the situation. He knows he made the mistake. Full stop, no more than that." Full stop, no more than that. That's Maresca trying to shut down the conversation right there. But then came the really interesting bit. He basically admitted his comments might have been harsher than he intended. He said, and this is brilliant, "I'm not from England, so sometimes when I try to translate from Italian to English, it's a bit different. When Liam is on the pitch, he is more focused to try his battle with the defender. That's what I was trying to say. Now, is that what he was trying to say on Wednesday night? Because it certainly didn't sound like it at the time. On Wednesday, he made it sound like Delap was a selfish player who doesn't listen to instructions and plays for himself. Today, he's spinning it as Delap just being focused on his individual battle with the centre-back. That's a very different narrative, isn't it? But here's where it gets even more interesting. Maresca then went on to defend Delap and explain why he actually rates him highly. He said, "There are 3 players in this team that I know better than the rest. Romeo Lavia, Cole Palmer, and Liam Delap, because I knew them from Manchester City's under-21s, from season 21, 4 years ago. So I know Liam well, and I know that Liam will be a fantastic player for us, but there are some things, like the rest, that he needs to improve." So there we have it. After 2 days of Delap being absolutely hammered in the media and on social media for being selfish and not listening, Maresca's now saying, "Actually, I know him really well. He's going to be fantastic for us. He just needs to improve like everyone else." It's quite the turnaround, isn't it? When asked directly if Delap is still a long way from being the player Maresca wants him to be, the manager doubled down on his support. "I know Liam well, and I know that Liam will be a fantastic player for us." That's a proper public backing after absolutely destroying him 48 hours earlier. Now, let's talk about what actually happened after the Wolves match, because this gives us some insight into how Maresca handles these situations. When asked if Delap apologized, Maresca confirmed, "Yeah, straight in the changing room." After the game, he apologized to everyone. So Delap did the right thing immediately, went straight to his teammates and the staff and put his hands up. That's important, and it's clearly something that Maresca appreciates. The manager was also asked whether the players appreciate him being as open and honest as he was on Wednesday night. His response was interesting. "This is a question for them. The problem is that when I say there is no concern about red cards, no concern. If I say that we need to avoid red cards, it's we need to avoid red cards. I say what I think is correct to say. Sometimes we have red cards that are difficult to avoid, and sometimes we have some red cards that we could avoid." So Maresca's not backing down from his overall message. Chelsea's discipline is a problem, and some of these red cards are completely avoidable. He's just softening the personal criticism of Delap specifically. It's damage control, pure and simple. When pressed on whether there's a general discipline problem at the club, remember, this is 6 red cards in 9 matches, Maresca said. "I think that some of the red cards we concede, we can avoid that. And likewise, some of the yellow cards, as I was saying on Wednesday night, were avoidable as well." He's acknowledging the issue but not calling it a crisis, which is interesting given the statistics. One journalist asked if Maresca had sat the squad down and said, "This is getting a bit ridiculous, it needs to stop." His response? "Again, some of the red cards we could avoid, some of the red cards we cannot avoid." He's sticking to that line, making the distinction between tactical red cards and stupid ones. But when asked what he can actually do to change the rash tackles and avoidable cards, Maresca admitted, "It's something that we need to learn, something that we have to do better." And for sure, no doubt that in the future we're going to be better also on that. So he's confident it will improve, but he doesn't seem to have a specific plan for how to fix it right now. One interesting question was about whether Maresca might change his personal approach to squad discipline. The journalist pointed out that he's still a young manager, very involved in tactics, but if the approach to discipline isn't working, could he become more forceful? Maresca's response was very diplomatic. "I think, as I said many times, I like to learn. I like to evolve. In this moment, I think we are trying to do everything to avoid this kind of situation, and hopefully we can learn, and we can be better in the future." So he's open to changing his approach, but he's not admitting his current method isn't working. That's classic manager speak, isn't it? Never fully admit you've got something wrong. Always say you're learning and evolving. Now, moving away from the Delap situation, there were some other interesting bits in this press conference. Cole Palmer update. Maresca had a brilliant little story about this. He said, "I just met him in the canteen for breakfast and I told him, 'In 1 week you'll be back,' and he was laughing. No, with Cole there is exactly the same plan. Wait, and hopefully he can be back soon." So Palmer's still out with that groin injury that's been plaguing him since the start of the season. He's only made 4 appearances this campaign, completing 90 minutes just twice. Chelsea are desperate to get him back, but Maresca's making light of it, which suggests Palmer's recovery is still uncertain. The fact that Palmer laughed when Maresca said 1 week tells you everything. Neither of them believe that timeline. Maresca was also asked about his wingers, specifically Jamie Gittens and Mikhailo Mudryk. Both have been performing well recently. Gittens scored that absolute rocket against Wolves, and there's clearly competition for places. Maresca said, "They are both adapting to our way of working every day. They are both doing well. This is what we want from our wingers, score goals and assist, and it's good to have both doing well, so we can choose one or the other one." That's interesting because it shows Maresca values competition. He's not married to one player, he'll pick whoever's in better form. That's good management, especially with young players who need to know they have to perform to keep their place. One tactical question was really revealing. Maresca was asked about why he sometimes moves Romeo Lavia or Moises Caicedo to join the centre-backs during build-up play. His explanation: "It depends a little bit on how the other team presses, where we can find space, where we can find a solution. Sometimes it's also to move a midfielder from that area because there's traffic, many players there. So we want to move some players out from that area, and it depends on the other team, how they press." That's proper tactical detail right there. Maresca's clearly thinking deeply about how to create numerical advantages and find solutions against different pressing systems. It's the kind of stuff you expect from a Pep Guardiola disciple, which Maresca very much is. Set pieces came up as well, specifically defending them. Chelsea have conceded the most shots from set pieces in the Premier League, which is shocking given how good they are at scoring from them. They're second highest in the league for set-piece goals scored, but worst at defending them. When asked if it's a physicality issue, a zonal marking issue, or a mentality thing, Maresca gave quite a philosophical answer: set pieces. You are going to score goals, and you are going to concede goals. If we say that when we concede, we are not strong enough, then why do we score? So I think with set pieces, there are teams that score more goals, less goals, but at the end, you are going to score and concede goals because they are actions that are so difficult to defend. I'm not sure I fully buy that, to be honest. Yes, set pieces are difficult to defend, but being the worst in the league at defending them suggests there's a specific problem that needs addressing. Maresca's being a bit too relaxed about it for my liking. He was also asked specifically about defending long throw-ins, given that Wolves scored from one and Tottenham love using them. His response? "Yeah, and we have Wolves at home next, so for sure we are working on it. Short, simple, to the point. They know it's a weakness. They're working on it." Looking ahead to tomorrow's match at Tottenham, Maresca was asked about Spurs' terrible home record in the Premier League. They've won just one of their last 7 home league games. But Maresca wasn't taking the bait. "Tottenham, I think they are doing very good. They finished last season winning the Europa League. They start very good this season, and also because it's a derby, for sure, it will be a difficult game." He's not getting drawn into underestimating Tottenham just because their home form has been poor. That's smart. Spurs under Thomas Frank. Wait, I need to correct that. The press conference mentions Thomas Frank, but that's Brentford's manager. The sources suggest Tottenham's manager, but Maresca is being professional and not dismissing them regardless. So, to sum up what we've learned from this press conference, Maresca is backtracking on his harsh criticism of Delap, claiming it was lost in translation. He's publicly backing the striker now, saying he'll be fantastic for Chelsea. Delap apologised to everyone straight after the match, which Maresca clearly appreciated. The discipline problem is acknowledged but not being treated as a crisis. Palmer is still out with no clear return date. The set-piece defending issue is being somewhat downplayed. And Chelsea are taking Tottenham very seriously despite their poor home form. The big question is, why the change in tone from Maresca? A few possibilities. 1. Maybe he genuinely did come across harsher than he intended due to the language barrier and the heat of the moment. 2. Maybe someone at the club, the sporting directors, maybe even the ownership, had a word with him about publicly destroying a £30 million summer signing just months after he arrived. 3. Maybe Maresca realised that completely undermining Delap's confidence isn't going to help anyone, especially with the striker suspended for tomorrow's match anyway. Whatever the reason, it's clear that Maresca is trying to draw a line under the situation. Full stop, no more than that. That was his message. He wants to move on, focus on Tottenham, and get back to winning in the Premier League after that disappointing loss to Sunderland last weekend. Tomorrow's match is absolutely massive. It's a London derby, Chelsea need to bounce back, and they'll be without Delap through suspension. The pressure is on Maresca to get a result, and the pressure is on the players to show they've learned from the discipline disasters of recent weeks. 6 red cards in 9 games is not sustainable. Something has to change, and it has to change quickly. But for now, at least publicly, Maresca and Delap are okay. The manager has softened his criticism, backed the player, and moved on. Whether that's genuine or just good man management remains to be seen. What we do know is that Delap will miss tomorrow's crucial derby, and when he does return, he'll be under enormous pressure to prove his manager's faith in him is justified. One thing's for certain, Chelsea's discipline issues aren't going away just because Maresca changed his tone in a press conference. The real test will come on the pitch, starting tomorrow at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Let's see if the Blues can keep their heads, avoid silly cards, and get 3 points in one of the toughest away fixtures in the calendar.